Evening, everyone. If you have a scope, you already know that the close-up views it gives add an extra dimension to birdwatching over what you can see through binoculars. But have you ever wanted to capture those gorgeous images? Well, now you can do that, and you don't need a fancy digital SLR camera. All you need is one of these, a regular smartphone. In this case, an iPhone 6S. It's not even a modern one. So when I had to send in my camera scope to Zeiss for repair recently, I dusted off my old scope, and it wasn't long before I was experimenting with what you could achieve by putting the camera over the eyepiece and trying to take photographs. The results, it's very tricky to get the camera position just right, but the results were good enough that I thought I would go online and see if anyone was making a mount that would allow you to do this and hold the camera in the proper position more easily. And indeed, people are making these things. They're all roughly the same in concept. There is a bracket to hold the phone. That's this one. Phone goes in here, and you just screw that in. And on the other side, there's a piece that will fit over the top of your eyepiece. And when I screw this in, you can see those three arms just get closer and closer, and those would be grabbing onto the eyepiece. So that's how it works. This particular model works for me, but it may not work for you, and I wouldn't necessarily endorse it because this one was one of the few I could find that will deal with larger diameter eyepieces. This eyepiece is a fatty. It's 2¼ inches across. And there are many, many more models that will handle eyepieces up to 1.75 inches. My guess is that most of you will have eyepieces that fall in that range, not one as wide as mine. So let me attach the phone to the device, and when you do that, you want to make sure that the clamp pincers don't depress any of the buttons on the side of your phone, otherwise some pretty weird things could happen. You want that nice and tight. And then you've got the hole on the other side of on the other piece of the mount, and that needs to be centered precisely over the camera lens on the back side of your phone. And to check the alignment of that, you want to fire up the camera app. And as you can see, that's pretty good. I've got just a hint of dark patches, top and bottom left there. But I know that from experience that that's about as good as it's going to get, because if I try and get rid of that, I'm going to have them showing up on the right-hand side. So that's as good as it gets. And then you want to tighten that down pretty tightly, because you want to be able to move this phone. You want to be able to handle the phone without that angle changing now that you've got it set up properly. Okay, so now we're ready to take a photograph of something. Since I don't happen to have a friendly bird at hand, I haven't set up an ornament on a window ledge outside this room far enough away that my scope, which won't focus any closer than 17 feet, can actually focus on it. When you attach the mount to the scope, you need to make sure that your eye relief cup is collapsed. I don't use glasses when I'm bird watching, so I have that thing extended. If you wear glasses, this isn't an issue because you'll have that thing collapsed anyway. So then you put this over the top and start screwing it into place. And there you can see my little wooden bunny. Now that's the view that I get on minimum zoom. This is a 20 to 60 times eyepiece. I've got that at 20 times. You can certainly use those photos. You would would probably want to crop that, perhaps a square crop, to get away from the gun barrel type look. But if I zoom in to the maximum zoom, on this eyepiece at least, I then get essentially a full frame view. Now the last thing you want to do before you actually take a picture is to check the focus. So you expand the image using the digital zoom on the screen to the maximum, and then you just tweak that a little bit, because the phone and your eye never see focus in quite the same way. So that's now ready for me to take a picture. When you do that, you don't want to use the buttons on the side, because if you did that, you'll jiggle the whole thing, possibly disturb the aim, and certainly make it a blurry image. So you want to use the shutter button on the phone surface here, and you just want to touch it as lightly as you can, consistent with getting an image, so like that. Okay, so we have a photograph of Mr. Bunny, and that is what it looks like. So you can see that's a pretty sharp image, and if you can imagine that's a bird, you would be getting some pretty detailed feather, some pretty impressive feather detail in a close-up like that. So this is how I've been taking photographs in the last couple of months while I've been waiting for my other device to be repaired. And I thought I would finish up just by showing you a handful of images taken using one of these things. I will admit it's a little cumbersome and it does take practice, but I think the results speak for themselves. Thank you.